Hi everyone, Wilson here and welcome back to another video. So in this video I have a new addition for my SLK. So I bought myself a half-size mini wind deflector from a company called Airblade online. I'll put a link to their website below if you're interested in buying one. So this is not a sponsored video, I paid for this item myself, so I thought I'll do a quick review of how it performs with my factory air guide system on my SLK. So let's carry on with the unboxing. Okay, here it is. Nice quick Royal Mail delivery this morning. All right, let's see what we have. Lovely, look at that. So as you can see already, I have the small AMG logo imprinted onto it. Let's just show you a better picture. There you go. You can have a variety of graphics, large AMG or small AMG, different colors, so you can request that upon ordering. Right, let's go ahead and fit it and see how easy it is to put in. It should simply just slot into the factory slots that come on the SLK. Just before I fit it, I thought I'll explain. On some vehicles, if you went for the full air guide, the full size one, you normally have two slots here where the mounting positions are for the mesh grille. But on my model, because I've got the factory air guides, it doesn't have those mounting holes on the hoops. So therefore, if I went for the full size one, I need to get a specially adapted one. But I didn't want the full size one because I think it would be too obstructive, the view, hence why I went for this one. But anyway, enough waffling along, let's put this in. So this simply, hopefully just slots into the rubber slots here. So it's got to be a little bit of tight fit. It needs to be because you don't want it flying off. So let me just slowly slot that in without damaging anything. Right, make sure it's centralised as well in the slots. Yes, it is. Right, let's slowly manoeuvre it in. Right, yeah. There's some resistance, but that's fine because it's a rubber mount at the bottom. Right, that's as far as it will go. Right, so just make sure it's centralised. Yes, okay, cool, easy. 1 minute installation. That's what I like about it. Right, so what does it look like from behind? So let's have a look. So a shot from behind. Yeah, very nice, very discreet. It's quite sturdy actually. You know, I can show you a close-up. I'm moving it with my finger. It's quite sturdy. It doesn't rattle because obviously it's a rubber mount, so it doesn't rattle. It doesn't hit the sides or anything. I'll show you from this angle. So that's how it's held in. And most importantly, you could still utilise the factory air guides without obstruction. So let's put both sides down and see what it looks like. Mickey Mouse ears, these are called. So yeah, no problem there whatsoever with the factory air guides down. Now you're probably asking, why did I bother if I've got the factory air guides? Now, although the factory air guides are, they do work, what I found, the air still flows down the middle. So although it blocks the airflow to my head, you sometimes get the buffeting down the middle. Now, I will go for a test drive shortly and see how this behaves with the air guides down, with the factory air guides down and the air guides up. So I'll do a comparison with that. So let's go. Okay, so time for a test drive. So I'm going to test drive it first with the factory air guides in a retracted position with the Airblade fitted, as you can see. So I'm going to take it up to around 60 miles an hour dual carriageway and see how I get on with it in this state. I'm currently doing about 50 with this current position, just the Airblade. I can feel a little bit of buffeting, but it's definitely not as much as when I didn't have it fitted. But I can still feel it a little bit. But I'll speed up in a second, up the dual carriageway to about 60-70 miles an hour and see how it feels. Right, 60 miles an hour. It's not too bad. I can feel it a little bit, but it's definitely not as strong as before without the air guide. So I'll turn around and try one more time. 65 miles an hour. Yeah, more or less the same as before. It does work. I can feel it does deflect the wind and provides less buffeting. Right, I will try it now. Let me stop the car and I will put the factory air guides down as well and see how that compares with this setup. Okay, so the factory air guides are also put down as well. Let's go for a drive. Right, 60 miles an hour. Yeah, it improves it as well. On top of the factory air guides, it definitely improves it. I feel almost, I would say there's probably about 10% buffeting, whereas with the factory air guides up, I was probably getting maybe about 40% buffeting. But without the air guide and the Airblade, it was a lot more windier. So it does work. It does work. I think it stops the air from coming down the center channel, this here in the middle, because that's where the gap was with the factory air guide deployed. It always had that little middle channel where the air can leak through into the cabin, but this definitely suppresses that. Right, one more try up there, dual carriageway. Let's go. But yeah, I'm going to quickly stick it up. Right, that's retracted now. The air guide, factory air guide's retracted. Yeah, I can definitely feel a little bit more, but it's not massive. Right, one thing I do like about this setup, the half height setup, is when you're looking down the rear view mirror, so this is my view of my rear view mirror, it doesn't obstruct the view behind compared to a full size Deflector. And I like the fact that it has that little lowered center section in the middle. I don't know if you can see. And that provides a little gap so you can see the actual car behind you clearly, because that actually is the size of the car following you from behind. So that's a clever design, I like that. I also will show you what it's like at night, because obviously I've heard from the full size version, you do get reflections from the entertainment screen. So hopefully this one shouldn't be a problem, but I will do some shots later on this evening. As promised, I was going to do some nighttime shots along the rear view mirror with the navigation on. So let's see how it looks on my rear view mirror. And for my first impressions, no issues. You can clearly see. I don't see any reflections because of the half height design. I can just about see maybe a glimpse of reflection, a tiny bit at the bottom, but it's highly visible. And I think that gap that I mentioned earlier down the middle on that Perspex design, that little short gap, actually takes away that reflection. I think that's probably why they've designed it that way. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, let's run through a few things that I like about this Mini Airblade design. So first of all, the style and the aesthetics of the design is wonderful. I think it blends in with the overall design of the hoops. It doesn't provide a massive obstruction if you had a full-size one. I do like the sleek and discreet, design of this rather than the full-on mesh or anything bigger. But that's just a personal, preference really. It definitely complements the original factory-fitted air guides. So rather than going for the big full-size Perspex design, this sleek design definitely complements it and provides additional buffeting, resistance. It does work because it does block, like I said earlier, it does block the channel of air down the middle, whereas the factory air guides struggle to. So in terms of noise, no issues whatsoever. I went up to around 65 miles an hour, no rattling from the back or anything, no resonance, but because what you'll find is with the full-size Perspex ones, there's always reports of bounce back resonance where the turbulence comes into the cabin and it bounces off the back of the deflector and causes vibration. But because of this design, no issues whatsoever, so I'm really happy with that. With the Perspex design as well, with the roof up, it still provides a light and airy cabin feel, so it doesn't block out. So if you had the original mesh one, it does block out a lot of light inside the vehicle, so that's another one point of advantage there. Something worth mentioning, the AMG logo is actually a stuck-on decal. I thought it was etched on, but obviously how durable it is in the long term, who knows. But having said that, you're not going to be driving with the roof down in the rain, so it may not be an issue anyway. Interested to see if other manufacturer deflectors are actually etched on or stuck on like this. But like I said, not a problem for me, but I thought I'd let you guys know in case you were to purchase this deflector. And finally, Colin does two versions of this deflector. The clear one, as you can see there, but he also does the tinted version. It's personal preference really. Speak to Colin from Airblade. His website's in my description below. Has all the pricing, information, etc. Colin will sort you out. Super nice chap. Provide you a next day delivery. And hopefully this short review will make your decision easier whether to purchase the mini or the full size Perspex deflector. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to my channel. In this way you'll get notified of future SLK related videos. Thanks for watching guys. Cheers. Bye bye.